welcome to Pulibrus' Fireside Chats. Not as good as 50 hours, but hey, it's something. So, I was actually kind of debating on what this video would be about. I was like, I really gotta, have people make suggestions for podcasts beforehand, so that I don't always have to go man, I don't know what to talk about. But, I think this topic would be interesting or something. And if not, who cares? With all that out of the way, let's get right into the news. First, we're gonna give Trump a dick move. Because, Trump did a kind of dick move. Trump administration to end National Guard COVID deployments 1 day before GI Bill benefits kick in. In 2017, Trump signed something called the Forever GI Bill at his company's golf course in Bedminster, New Jersey. The law expanded the educational benefits that had been made available under the post-9/11 GI Bill, which was passed in 2008, and which supplemented various benefits that could be traced back to the original 1944 GI Bill. Okay, so basically here's what's going to happen. Here's how I'm going to break it down. It says that the first group sent into the field after 90 days would get GI Bill education benefits, as well as other benefits like retirement benefit. Trump, he is deploying people for 89 days. And literally 1 day before, literally just one more day, and it's literally that joke, oh man, that cop died. He was 1 day before retirement. It's seriously, why? Of course Trump is just doing this because he's, a dick. Everybody knows that. Because, everybody knows the same thing. It's they don't, as long as you're fighting in the military's, interventionist regime change wars, they care all about the military. Second you're home? Pfft, screw you. What the heck do you even think? How dare you even consider the fact that we would give you anything that would, at any point, think that we would care about you? You're a disgrace. Get out of here. Seriously. It's just another way to spit on the military. The Vietnam protesters didn't spit on the Vietnam vets. It's the government that always spit on them. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what's going to keep happening, because America does not care about their troops. Unless they're doing what they're told. Unless they're good little soldier boys following orders, they don't care. Anyways, next story. Swing district Democrats link with progressives to back paycheck bill Pelosi rejected. After House Speaker Nancy Pelosi excluded a plan to keep unemployment down by subsidizing firms to keep workers on payrolls from their relief package last week, dozens of progressives have banded together with 10 frontline Democrats from swing districts to introduce a standalone piece of legislation. The Paycheck Recovery Act, authored by Representative Pramila Jayapal, aims to make sure that paychecks are flowed to the employers to workers during the coronavirus pandemic. A previous version, the Paycheck Guarantee Act, has been a priority by the Congressional Progressive Caucus, of which Jayapal is a co-chair. The bill subsidizes struggling companies' payrolls in order to discourage layoffs and keep unemployment down. While Pelosi said that she was open to considering the idea, she ultimately kept it out of the HEROES Act, the coronavirus relief bill passed by the House on Friday, which includes an extension of unemployment subsidies. So basically, progressives were mad because this was originally supposed to be in the HEROES Act, but then, it was excluded from the HEROES Act, and then progressives voted for the HEROES Act anyways, even though they formed a little bit of a block to try and keep them from, voting for this. Chewy Garcia, AOC, Rokana. But then, inevitably, Jayapal was the only one to officially vote against the HEROES Act in total. Aside from, the swing district moderate Democrats, like they said, or like some Republicans, but overall, the Democrats pretty much voted for it. But the thing is, Jayapal is trying to get this done, like get this in as a separate bill. And, I mean, it has, like, currently 98 co-sponsors. And, I mean, it's like of course, like they said, the progressives. But it also has some Democrats that you wouldn't normally expect, like Max Rose. And it even has, how many Republicans does it have as co-sponsors? One. And that's Brian Fitzpatrick of Pennsylvania District 1. Brian Fitzpatrick has always been, like, the, moderate Republican. But, he's been weird. Anyways, let's move on to the next story. And this is a bit of a hypocrisy amongst the Democratic Party. Then again, that's never new. Progressives slam oil-soaked Steny Hoyer for backing Joe Kennedy III over Green New Deal champion Ed Markey. Hoyer does not have a problem with primary challengers. He has a problem with progressives. Progressives and climate activists expressed frustration with Democratic Party leadership after Politico reported Tuesday that House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer would be holding a virtual fundraiser for Representative Joe Kennedy III, who is challenging incumbent Senator Ed Markey in the 2020 Massachusetts Democratic primary. Markey, who co-sponsored the Green New Deal with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, has the support of the youth climate group, the Sunrise Movement, which cited Hoyer's affiliation with Big Oil in a scathing statement in the fundraiser on Common Dreams. Steny has raised millions from oil, gas PACs, and bundlers over his career. He's the number 2 highest recipient of fossil fuel and electric utilities in this election cycle, and he recently tried to jam a Big Oil handout into the coronavirus relief package by House Democrats in the House. Given all that, it's no wonder that he'd prefer the co-author of the Green New Deal doesn't win his re-election campaign. The article in Politico also states that Jamie Raskin was involved in this fundraiser for Joe Kennedy III. And this makes me not so cool about him. Like, it's weird. Like, even like David Trone is someone who ran against Jamie Raskin from the right. And they're both going to be at this Joe Kennedy fundraiser. This is a really weird election, like, Senate race. This is a really weird race. Like, I've stated this before and I'll say it again. This is one where it seems that it's weird. I don't get it, really. There are progressives who are endorsing Joe Kennedy. There are progressives who are endorsing Ed Markey. There are moderates who are endorsing Ed Markey. There are moderates that are endorsing Joe Kennedy. It's weird. And when I say moderates, I mean, like, the moderates. Like, Joe Manchin's like, I'm a moderate Democrat. It's like, no, you're not. He's endorsing Markey because he's saying, like, hold on, Joe. I don't think you should primary Markey, dude. That's not cool. There are flat-out Republicans endorsing Kennedy. Bill Weld and the guy who ran against Ed Markey are endorsing Joe Kennedy. This is not good company. This is legitimately not good company. And I mean, like, if you analyze the endorsements, there are, like, obviously issues. Like, Mark Buchanan and Raul Grijalva are endorsing Joe Kennedy, whereas Ro Khanna and AOC are endorsing Markey. Like, there are a lot more Progressive Democrats of America, Sunrise Movement. They're all backing Markey. No progressive group is backing Kennedy. In fact, the people who are endorsing Kennedy are more of the moderate wing. Like, he's endorsed by, like, Jill Cisneros and, Connor Lamb or the like. But, like, yeah, obviously if you're progressive, Markey's your choice. He is. I don't understand why Mike Buchanan and Raul Grijalva are endorsing Kennedy. My assumption is, like, I think they said in, like, a a article, like they were like, "Oh, we've worked with Joe for so long. I know he's gonna fight for this, 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 and this." But it's like, you see, Pecan and Grijalva's endorsement were touted alongside John Lewis's endorsement. So my prediction is they're being used literally only due to their minority status. Because the Kennedys are always seen like, oh, they're this hoppenters of fighting for the little man. Bobby Kennedy fought for Hugo Chavez, and John Kennedy was supposedly all in for Martin Luther King Jr., even though he didn't really do much in that regard, but why split hairs, am I right? So anyways, now let's move on to a more positive story, which also kind of revolves around climate change. Climate activist R.L. Miller was just elected to the DNC. She's looking for a fight. I've never heard of R.L. Miller ever, but she founded the grassroots advocacy group Climate Hawks Vote, who are endorsing Markey, and R.L. Miller never got over Perez's refusal to hold a climate-focused debate during the nomination process. So she decided to use her anger to run for a state-elected seat on the DNC. And she won, and she's going to use her position to push for strong climate language on the Democratic Party's official policy platform to get the DNC to stop taking fossil fuel money, and is hopefully achieving a climate debate in the next presidential election. And she has even went so far as to say, quote, "I really hope to be able to tell Tom Perez to his face to fuck off." Bravo! Yes. If the Democratic Party had more of these people on their boards, you'd think I'd be a registered Democrat 100%. I'll be all on board with the Democratic Party if this was the whole DNC. I want this woman to be the chair of the DNC. Screw Tom Perez. I want her to be chair of the DNC now. I know nothing about her other than this. I don't know if she's got Medicare for all. I don't know. But she should be chair. # Miller for DNC chair. I mean, Ellison, you can run again if you want, but Miller seems to be in a better position than you. You were a representative and you didn't win, but, why split hairs? It's still like you, Keith. So yeah, and I'm going to tie into more good news. Appeal Court okays June 23rd New York Democratic presidential primary. New York's Democratic leadership gave up trying to cancel the state's June 23rd presidential primary Tuesday after an appeals court rejected arguments that holding it during the coronavirus pandemic would endanger public safety. Douglas A. Kellner, co-chair of the State Board of Elections, said that he and the board's commissioner would not appeal the U.S. Supreme Court after ruling by the 3-judge panel on the 2nd U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Manhattan. He said that they plan to urge voters to use absentee ballots while they focus all of our attention to daunting tasks of managing a primary election in a way that minimizes the risk of public and election workers. Yeah, it's kind of what people were trying to get you to do the whole time. Focus on ways to make it safe. It's June. It's June 23rd. You had plenty of time to, try and do this. You have time. Don't try to cancel it. Try to make it safe. Make it safe. That's what we ask. When you cancel primaries, you're putting a dangerous precedent to cancel a lot of things. Trump can cancel the general election and be like, well, bro, I'm just saying we have to cancel we have to cancel the general election. Duh. We can't endanger people's lives. That's exactly the precedent you're setting. And, well, it's a good thing that Bernie and Andrew Yang, I don't know how much Bernie was fighting on this. I think he, It's like, hey, stop. But like, it's a good thing people like Andrew Yang were actually trying to like, hey, I'm gonna sue you to stop you from doing this. This is undemocratic. I hate you. Like, yes, good. Yes, we do more of this, please. You want more election, not less. To be fair, Bernie and the other candidates are actually running, so it doesn't really matter that much. I will still urge you to vote for Bernie if you live in New York, and this will help the down-the-ballot candidates. But the thing is, the down-the-ballot candidates can only go so far because there's not an active campaign going on. A lot of down-the-ballot candidates who would normally be doing well, I guess, aren't really doing so hot because there's no active presidential race, so ergo, there's really no point. I mean, yeah, to be fair, it would be good if there was a continuing presidential race, but honestly, there isn't, so not much people care. It's why there's like lower turnouts during midterm elections. There's no presidential election, so nobody cares. Because people see president as the only elected office. Okay, so now on to the smaller candidate of the day. And this is the biggest one that we could see, because this is a big one. The Libertarian Party has officially nominated Joe Jorgensen to be the Libertarian nominee in 2020. All those other people I talked about, Hornberger, Mons, Supreme, they were running for the Libertarian Party nomination. Joe Jorgensen is actually going to be on the ballot in your state, more than likely, in 2020. Now, I actually originally thought that Jacob Hornberger was going to win because he ended up winning the most primaries, but the convention pretty much made it so that she was the nominee. I mean, I wouldn't have voted for either one, but, I mean, whatever. Jorgensen was actually the Libertarian vice presidential nominee in 1992. 92, yeah. 92 or 96. Yeah, 90, one of the two. I forgot. I had it literally pulled up on my side, but I didn't read it. She's mostly the average libertarian-ish, though she's campaigned on this: Joe Jorgensen's bold, practical libertarian vision for America's future. She will use her constitutional authority to block any new borrowing, to cut the debt and deficit, end the interventionist wars, stop skyrocketing healthcare costs. Let me see. She wants to reduce the cost of legacy programs like Medicare, Medicaid, and the VA, and by allowing price competition, basically privatize these things. She will work to eliminate the Department of Education. That was Gary Johnson's winning electoral strategy. That's why we have President Gary Johnson. And taxes are never voluntary. As president, I will work tirelessly to slash government spending to make you spend much, much smaller than what you earn. Now, I could just talk about her, but I'm actually going to talk about a little bit of the Libertarian Convention, because the Libertarian Convention was a little weird. It was so boring and long. Like, every 3 seconds, a new person would, show up and be like, can I have the floor for a second? I want to suspend the rules to do something. And they were, basically trolling. I'm surprised Vermin Supreme didn't win the Libertarian Party nomination, because they were just trolling and, saying stupid stuff. Pretty much every single time that there was someone talking, it was nothing. It was nonsense. There was one person that was every 3 seconds, we're like, oh, can we suspend the rules to nominate this person for president? It's like, the person didn't even run in this election, but okay. But then there was one moment where a person said, I'd like to have a motion to suspend the rules and throw one of the delegates into the gator trap and get eaten by the alligators. It's like, oh, okay, that's stupid, but all right. And there's actually there's some funny instances that happened, like out of all the candidates that the Libertarian Party ran in this election, only 6 ended up getting enough. Okay, so I gotta explain this part about the Libertarian Party. In order to get qualified as a candidate that could receive the nomination of the party, you have to, during all these debates and campaigning, you have to go to the Libertarian Party members and get tokens. And whoever gets a certain amount of tokens can have the ability to be nominated. So yeah, the only candidates that ended up getting the appropriate amount of tokens or more were Joe Jorgensen, Jacob Hornberger, John Mons, Jim Gray, Adam Kokesh, and Vermin Supreme. They were the only ones who managed to get the tickets, the tokens, to be able to be in the process of possibly being the nominee. Okay. There are a lot of other candidates that didn't end up getting enough tokens, like Dan Berman and Arvin Vohra, who are controversial in their own rights. One wears a hat and says that he wants to eliminate all taxes, and the other one says that pedophilia should be 100% legal. But here's the funny thing. Vohra, who is the one that said pedophilia should be legal, he said that he got more tokens than Dan Berman. However, Berman, there was at one point where they tried to suspend the rules to get Berman on the ballot to possibly get the Libertarian Party nomination. But there was also a moment, there was no moment like that for Arvin Vohra. Because pretty much everybody in the Libertarian Party agrees that Vohra is not good. I wonder why they draw the line at pedophilia. Maybe because the pedophilia is not a winning electoral strategy. So yeah. And one other thing I should mention is Vermin actually seemed more serious this time around. He wasn't wearing the boot on his head. He didn't win. He didn't wear the boot on his head on a couple of other occasions during the primary, but he wasn't wearing the boot on his head. He wasn't being all silly and making haha, free ponies for all joke. But he was formal. He dressed nice. His beard was either trimmed or tucked in his shirt. I think it was just tucked in his shirt, because I think when he lost, he pulled the beard out and was woohoo, hooray! But he was being more formal and more serious of a contender. The issue is, if he was running on a more serious libertarian socialist platform or something, probably could have taken it more seriously as a candidate. But the thing is, he didn't. That's why there were a lot of people on the internet who were saying we need to talk about Vermin Supreme because Vermin Supreme is a anarchist. He likes Kropotkin and he's left libertarian about mutualism and mutual aid and blah blah blah. And it's okay, but that's not what he's running on. He's running on free ponies for all and mandatory toothbrushing. That's his platform. Because he's running as a joke. That's the whole point. He even stated multiple times during his campaign, I'm trying to troll the political system, and I want the libertarians to troll it with me. They're if you're not going to take us seriously, we shouldn't take you seriously. And that's fine. There's a time and place for that, obviously. But the problem is, I guess the Libertarian Party didn't really see it that way. And it's why some people have been suggesting take over the Libertarian Party with the Libertarian Socialist faction. Libertarian Socialism is not that popular in the Libertarian Party. I mean, they were endorsing Vermin Supreme. Supreme ain't the candidate. Jorgensen, who is the candidate, who I should actually be talking about a lot more because she is the candidate, she's not necessarily a Johnsonite. I mean, the Libertarian Party has a problem about nominating people who are just Republicans turned Libertarians for political gain. Jorgensen's not that, but she's also not like a hardline Libertarian, like, you know, she's not like a hardline Daryl Perry, Kokesh, Hornberger type, but she's also not a Libertarian Socialist. She's running on a more Johnson-ish, you know, platform, which is kind of what Jim Gray and John Mons were also running on, which is why they ended up endorsing her. But they were, like, all running on the same type of thing. You know, they want to keep, like, and one of them actually, like, one of Kokesh's people were, like, trying to use this to discredit them, like, you're running on Johnson's platform without the name recognition of Gary Johnson. And it's like, kinda, yeah. But, I mean, like, whenever the Libertarian Party kind of goes away from its base and goes to more of the classical liberalism platform, they end up doing a lot more better. I'm just saying. Speaking of Jim Gray and such, he actually did a really funny power move during it. It was supposed to be a power move, but there was one point where it was like, it doesn't necessarily feel that way. Like, here's what happened. Each of the candidates gave like a little bit of they had like either a speech or a video to show that would like show like, oh, here's who we are and what we stand for and some people who are going to nominate us for the presidency. And Jim Gray had like a video. And it was like 6 like unknown figures, and each of them would be slowly revealed. And 2 were really, really good power moves. Like, it was like Larry Sharp. And it's like it shows Larry Sharp, like, giving his little speech about, like, hey, here's why I think Jim Gray is the best candidate. And it's like, okay, that makes sense. Larry Sharp is a really well-liked figure in the Libertarian Party. You know, he can appeal to, like, many of the factions of the Libertarian Party. He is good. He talks a lot about other libertarianism and such. Then he shows, like, this one actually isn't revealed until, like, second to last, but he has Gary Johnson say his praises, and it's like, this is good. You know, he's a good candidate. He got you, like, the highest vote percentage he had, so this is obviously good to show him being on your side. And then another one is, like, a 12-year-old child. A 12-year-old child. Seriously. A 12-year-old child. Look, and I know what you're going to say. He might see this. I don't know. But I'm not dissing him, but I'm just saying, you know, it's like former presidential candidate, popular Libertarian Party member, 12-year-old child. No offense, but you could tell who is more of a serious contender. I mean, of course, this isn't dissing him. Yes, it is, but you know, who cares? But I'm just yanking his chain. He's a 12-year-old who runs a political show. I can't really diss him that much. He's like a literal, but I still don't get it. He's a 12-year-old making a political show. Aren't you supposed to be into Pokemon? I mean, I can't necessarily fault him too bad. I mean, he got on a Libertarian Party's presidential candidates like nomination thing, and I didn't, so he's got that for me. Plus, I can't really do much. I can't really do much. That's punching down. I can't punch down. So yeah, I'm I'm actually gonna leave like a link, like his links to the description or something. I feel bad that I was kind of ragging on him. You know, give him give him likes and comments and such. You know, whatever. Probably disagree with him on a lot because, I mean, he's on Jim Gray's thingy to endorse him, but, you know, whatever. Just give him a like or something. I don't know. Or if you know some conservative or libertarianish person, you know, send it to them. They'll probably get a kick out of 12-year-old making political content, whatever. So yeah, anyways, now I guess we should move on to the main topic of this video, which I don't know how long I can talk about it because I don't know much like what to do, but here we are. This topic is just one that just popped in my head. I guess I was reminiscing about a Kyle Klinsky video, but this is just one that I think is worth talking about, I guess. Why am I not a socialist? Now, this topic may or may not be interesting. I don't know. But this, I guess it is worth noting. I consider myself left-wing, and yet I'm more of a social democrat than a full-on socialist, like a lot of my associates. You know, there's Nal Elkim, who's libertarian socialist. There's Pogs for Bernie, who's an ANCOM. Then there's Sunflower Socialist, who, believe it or not, is a socialist. He likes sunflowers. He's also a huge David Rold supporter. Nah, I'm just kidding. He's not. No one I know is a David Rold supporter. Not even David Rold. But unlike them, I do not consider myself a socialist. Even Bernie considers himself a socialist. But I'm not. Why? Why is it? The answer is mixed. It's weird. Some might make sense. Some you might be like, come on, dude. You're stupid. Okay, so the first reason why is, well, I mean, I guess there's no other way to say it. Practicality. Now, I mean, of course, it's a phrase that we don't really like hearing, especially with, you know, the Joe Biden types who are like, we need to be practical and blah, blah, blah. But let's just be real. Libertarian socialism and comms, all these things are just completely the antithesis of the U.S. For better or for worse, sometimes a bit of both. They're the antithesis of the U.S. U.S. is all for, like, the free market and blah, 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 and all that jazz. That is harder to pitch to people than social democracy. Social democracy is practical leftism. It was literally made to be practical leftism. Like, that was the whole reason social democracy was created. Edward Bernstein realized, you know, revolutionary Marxism or the like, not necessarily that good. We need a more reformist way to get things done. You know, we need to go through the election process and, you know, go through, like, all this stuff. We need to be elected. We need to, it's not necessarily cutting around the edges, but to an extent it is. He also hated the idea of, like, Marxists, like, he really hated the idea of, like, Marxists hating, he hated the idea that Marxists had a, like, very materialistic view of life. Like, they thought that everybody saw it as, like, pure materialism and the like. Now, that may be mixed. It's maybe a mixed bag, but, you know, he thought that was, like, harder to pitch to European nations than, you know, a more reformist way. And did it work? Well, look around the globe. A lot of social democratic parties out there. And a lot of them have had decent levels of successes. You know, Labour Party in the UK. I ain't seen that much successes now, but it did at one point. labor parties all across the world were hugely social democratic in their mindset, and they did reasonably well in certain regards. In fact, they even pushed a lot of their nations to adopt more socialistic leaning ideas because of their presence. Parties in the US were able to push to have more of a socialist viewpoint in the New Deal. So it's kind of just a practicality sense. Social Democrats are more likely to get things done than, libertarian socialists. No offense to any libertarian socialists, but that's just the inevitable truth. Even Bernie, he's not a democratic socialist. I mean, he kind of is. You see, it's a weird thing. Social democracy, democratic socialism, they kind of just get thrown into the same bag sometimes. Because Bernstein helped kind of create both ideologies. It's also kind of why the Libertarian Party doesn't necessarily nominate their ANCAPs as their presidential nominees. It's not necessarily practical to nominate an ANCAP to be the nominee. Bernie's not a democratic socialist. He's a social democrat. He's not post-capitalist. He thinks that markets can be good sometimes, but in a limited state. He wants the workers to be put at the table, but, maybe some of the farther left stuff abolish profit and abolish private property aren't necessarily going to bode well in the private property held amazing US of A. A second reason may just, it could, this all kind of sounds like, and the next one is just going to be explicitly my Americanness talking. I didn't necessarily grow from the leftism, from a leftist point of view. I mean, there was a podcast where I literally talked about my political journey, and as you can see, didn't necessarily come from a, Marxist-Leninist family. But, shifting in the left, but just not at the point where really, socialism is in. I know some people in the youth and stuff see socialism as 100% in. I'll defend socialism when it can work, but the thing is, there's a lot of times where socialism, it doesn't necessarily work so well. It's kind of like there hasn't really truly been a communist nation. Can it really be accomplished to have a truly socialist society? Workers control the means of protection, and no government control over the businesses or I know that may be conflating communism and socialism, but same general idea. There may be just a little hint of a person inside of me that's not willing to go that far. There was a point where, there was a communist running for a decently well-off position, and he seemed really good, but I didn't endorse him because, he was a communist. That's scary. Communism bad. Now, of course, I also think communism is just, and I don't think that'll change, because, even if it's oh no, but the socialist Soviet Union isn't even true communism, it's can communism actually work? To an extent, it's it's hard to put into words, because, I'm trying to, sum up big philosophies and, major things in a just off-the-cuff way. But I do say in my videos sometimes, some things in communism, aren't so bad. But there are also sometimes where I say some things in capitalism aren't so bad either. Of course, unfettered capitalism is just bad, and unfettered socialism or communism, I guess you could say, is not good. I know, Venezuela, I hate to use this thing, but Venezuela, but some criticisms of Maduro are legitimate. I'm not gonna say all of the criticisms of Maduro are legitimate, but I'd say some are. Why is his nation poor? Well, yeah, the sanctions, but maybe in part it could be because of some of the ways he's doing his government. My problem, I guess, is with the authoritarian left, I guess. Because that's kind of like what you think of when you think of communism. But on a more practical sense, again, it's just like, socialism or any further left thing is like, you can't really pitch that to like a regular person. Like, I mean, you can't, like DSA, they were talking about, like, let's abolish profit. It's like, you can't pitch that. You may want to do that, but that's not going to win you nothing. Live in the U.S. You're not going to win. Social democracy, it can win. I mean, of course, you probably don't have to call it like social democracy or whatever, but the ideas work. Again, like, look at every country that has been called a socialist country. They don't do so hot, and of course, it also could be because of other forces. And also, I should mention, everybody says like, oh, communist nations and socialist nations, they don't do so hot. But, USSR, they did decently well for a while. They were number one competition. And China in the modern day, but that's because China has a different strategy. China has a socialist domestic economic plan, but their foreign economic plan, like trade and stuff, is like pretty free trade and the like. So it's a mixed economy, eh? It's literally just modeling after the Copenhagen and stuff, like the Nordic model. That works, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is really stupid. I'm trying to sum up basic, huge philosophies and such in like a normal chat format. Maybe I should have done my thoughts on Kyle Kalinske, but whatever. You could leave a comment saying like, no, this is why socialism works. I mean, to be fair, I am open to it. Now, I think I should actually title this video, Why Am I Not a Socialist Yet? Because, unlike most people, I'm not necessarily opposed to socialism. Maybe opposed to like certain aspects of it, or like question like, how do we get from here to there? Which is why I'm a social democrat. But you can also tell I'm further to the left in, like I've said this before, I'm further to the left in my heart than I am in my mind. Because my mind is trying to work on what can we get done. Like, yes, maybe my heart would want everybody to have equal pay and everybody to be well off. But my brain knows that ain't gonna happen. So it's better to work with what we got. My heart might be a libertarian socialist, but my brain is telling me, social democrat with like huge libertarian leanings. So yeah, I guess it really all just boils down to practicality. And I mean, like I said before, I could be open to changing because I am seeing a lot of social democrats be all not so good. Juan Guaido and Carlos Mesa are social democrats, and also the Liberal Democrats in the UK identify as social democrats to an extent. But I mean, I'm more of the ideological social democrat and not the dumb practical ones. I mean, I'll be fair, social democrats did partly lead the way to the new Dems and the new Democrat and new Labor. They kind of opened the doors because they were like, we're half, market, half, lefty. And then they're like, oh, let's be half of what you guys are. And it's like, not necessarily going to work that well. But, whatever. So I guess that's all I got to say in this regard, I guess. It's dumb, but, I mean, I think it makes sense, or it somewhat possibly makes sense in my ramblings. So yeah, social democrats, practical. Everything else is lame. Nah, I'm just kidding. Social democracy is just more practical, in my opinion. And we should probably strive to what's more practical in a leftist sphere. I should preface that. In a leftist sphere. Because, technically what Biden's saying is practical, but screw that. I want practical leftism, not practical BS. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that bell to be notified when a future video comes out. And if you're interested in more content from me, you can go to my website, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Quora, join my Discord, or check out my articles on the Independent Political Report.